Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smith for Smith in the Black at T3 Live and recording on Veterans Day here in the United States. So today's In the Black is dedicated to all those men and women who have served, are serving, and will serve in the future, and their families, and especially those who made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Thank you very much. Salute! So, let's get to it. Last week was splendid as far as the things I talked about in the last week's video about how the strategy I teach works, when it works, and the mechanics of the market. You might recall I was talking about the shortened week from the storm forming a lot of inside weeks that makes actionable signals. And by actionable signal, I'm looking for inside bars, which means an equilibrium being broken on either side. So as we came in, we got an extra gift out of the SPY. We got a rally on election day, which is absolutely beautiful. So let's take a look. What were we looking at was the 60-minute. And we knew we had a shortened week, and then we had a tight broadening formation that we're expecting to grow. All right? So we came into here Monday. Tuesday, election day, we get up here and we start gunning. Why was that important? And I'll show you right here, because of what we use for time frame continuity, right? And that means we only want to be trading, or we want to be trading in the highest level of probability when we have the S&P trading higher than it opened for the day, higher than it opened for the week, higher than it opened for the month, and higher than it opened on the bottom of the hour. So at that point last week, SPY here opened 141.35 for the month. We opened 141.65. We came in Tuesday here, opened at 142.28 and started to take off up into here. This is a beautiful spot right in here. If you look at the 60. Right up in here. We opened up in here and we just took off. So this spot right here was a few hours of really good action. And even as it hung up in here, then we knew that we were at the top of the broadening formation. So we had a beautiful morning, and we knew that this was really setting up for the slam banger come Wednesday morning, which I was hoping we would get something like this, but I was expecting to just kind of hang around in here during election day. But apparently what happened is some money came in betting on a Romney victory, and had that occurred, it appears as though the belief may have been that this would have been a bottoming formation and off to the races. That's not what happened, and the dumping commenced immediately. So when you come in on Wednesday morning, here, open at 141.66, one down tick took out the opening of the month, boom, took out the opening of the week, and you'll recall the massive amount of inside months I was talking about. So not only do we have 4 time frames to the downside, but once it took out 140.39, we took out the inside month. Real thing of beauty there. And whammo. So now, what was interesting here is that we've got these here. We came down and made a lower low, and we know that that's, we can expect that in the broadening formation. If we take a look at the 30 here, and take this out, get a real good illustration of top of the triangle all the way down to the bottom here. Perfect. And so Friday morning, we had the reverse back up. And we can trade that on the long side, even though we're down for the month, down for the week, because we're up for the day and we're up for the intraday. And so what we'd be looking for here, off the bottom of the triangle, and higher 60 and higher day, we'd be looking for those stocks that are still have time frame continuity to the upside, even though we don't have it here. In order to counter trend trade with the as far as the S&P is involved, at that point we know, at least for the day in this hour, things are starting to move higher, and we look for stocks that are still higher than they open for the month, higher than they open for the week, higher than they open for the day, and give us intraday signals. So as we move along, we're going to start this week off in this triangle. Now the thing about triangles and broadening formations, they're going to keep moving lower. The question is, can we break below this and make that resistance, or is it going to try and come back up into here? It's going to be a tough time so far this month trying to regain all this, because we've already broken the inside month to the downside. So 140.39, which is significantly higher from here, would be a lot of resistance. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But you can also see here on the weekly, topping triangle here, these highs here, and the lows, depending on where we draw them from, down into here, apex there. But off of this stuff here, these lows, these highs coming in here off of those lows, and up in here making the apex right about where we are. So it's going to be an important area right here to see if they can hold. If we go to QQQ on Friday, inside day for the QQQ. So the question is, going to see any relief here or not? Like I said, the problem is we're going to have a tough time turning these months green. Plenty of month left, but that's a problem. But to start off the day, or to start off the week and the day, QQQ, inside day. If we go to the 60-minute, which has been very telling in the Qs. Talked about this many, many times. All the way down. Here's QQQ. Boom. Right into here. Forms the triangle. Comes right back down to this. Channel, channel, channel. New triangle here. Fails the highs here. Right down right to the channel again. It tries to extend it on Friday. Thursday and Friday's rally. Or Thursday and Friday's action, and then rally on Friday. But it gets right back up to the top of the channel here. And that's as far as it got. Now right back in. So the question is, going to do this again? Or can it form a triangle and try and get out of the inside day back up into here somewhere? Form something like that? We'll see, but certainly having some issues here that we're going to pay attention to. And first things first, the inside day. And we'll get to Apple in a second. And let's look at it right now. You might recall in last week's letter I talked about the weekly potential support off of this old broadening formation here at 535. And yeah, the low is like 533.72. Not bad, huh? So we'll see. There's some stuff in here, and obviously you can see this line almost to the tick. So when people are trying to bottom pick in there, and it's not my game, but what I said was, if you're going to do it, look for that support around 535, and there you got it. Still on the ropes, though. I mean, when you look at this monthly chart, this is not something I want to be involved in on the long side. It's just blood red. And maybe it stops going down, and maybe there's some sort of support in here. I don't know. The good thing about it is, because I know a lot of people are trying to be involved here, is that knowing when to get involved. And for one, that 535 area and subsequent small bounce here on Friday, if you will, at least here, once it opened at 540 and change here, went down, but once it came back above here, then at least the day was green. Right? You want to give yourself that opportunity to know that at least on the day that you're trading it, that it's above where it opened. All right? There's some buying pressure in there. Otherwise, you're just getting murdered and stuff like this. Big red bars tend to just keep getting bigger. So, and anytime we open a new week, every Monday morning, you've got a new weekly bar, a new daily bar, and a new 60-minute bar. And I give you 3 out of the 4 going green. Give yourself a much better opportunity than when things are just falling out of bed in your face. So that said, let's continue on with the bonds. TLT. Bonds. You can see this daily broadening formation coming right back up to this apex. More importantly, like I said, we're seeing this continuous series of breaks of the inside month equilibrium. That's a problem here. TLT takes out the inside month and is presently above. So I want to reiterate this because this is very important. That the market will be at risk of further declines so long as the equilibrium in the SPY has been broken off an inside month to the downside. So you want to be real alert here so long as the market is, the S&P spider is below 140.39 in combination with the TLT here being above 124.78. These are monthly equilibriums being broken, and we're going to pay close attention to that. If you look at that daily again, you can see this broadening formation here, which would really set up for some more pain if it was going to go and complete to here. We're in slight higher highs here. We're not sure if we're going to have a smaller one or if it's actually going to complete this, but we're certainly going to be aware of that. If you look at the euro, I talked about that last week. That was one of the indications that had already gone, the monthly break, inside month and down for the FXE, and the UUP dollar is inside month and up. So we're going to pay attention to all these levels. If we look at the VXX, I talk about this all the time, that how weak this thing just deteriorates. And the problem is if you see strength here, that's a real problem for the market, because this is one of the weakest things that's ever been invented. And it's inverse to the market. So if you look at the daily, here you can see this formation here. So the question is, will this apex action here form some sort of resistance and drop back down, have the market recover, or is it going to come up into here and complete this, which would be a real problem? So we'll be keeping an eye on that. As far as the Dow Jones is concerned, daily, slight higher highs, couldn't get back in, and just falls apart. We've been watching this weekly here for a long time. Weekly triangles up into here. Right now you can see these levels in here. But if this is the triangle here and it can get through there, that could get a little rough. But we'll stay on that once again for the weeklies. Just following the inside bars. Inside week down, inside week down, and now coming towards the apex, maybe some support here. We'll see how that acts. As far as monthlies, okay, coming off of that, you get the idea. In the Dow, we got double A still below the inside month. Sell signals, Merck, shooting star and down. Pfizer, shooting star down. CAT, still interesting here. CAT, you can see this level here in CAT tractors, an inside month, and this is what's partially hopeful, partially not, is we're seeing some things that, because of those rallies we've had within the broadening formation of inside month and breaking above, but coming back into the range. So it hasn't stopped out by taking it out to the downside, but it's failing the upside as of now, and you can see this flat line as far as opening and closing in the last 6 months for CAT. Time to pick a direction. Unfortunately, it's attempted twice to the upside and have to be well alert to possible downside there. We've got Cisco coming out with earnings this week. We'll see how that goes. Cisco still having, this range bound in a rough time, but she can move on these earnings. Hewlett Packard, we know, is just destroyed and really beat up here and inside day and down. See, it's just like, as long as even the equilibrium here, it's not too late. That's how weak some of this stuff is. If we look at IBM, see this choppy broadening formation here, but IBM and coming into this monthly stuff here. Remember, this has been a real important monthly line. Here, and now reapproaching that, and that could make for some problems there. If we look at the weekly chart, you can see this here. The question is it smaller or is it actually bigger? And we're going to come down into there. We're going to find out fairly soon. Last week, Procter & Gamble, inside week and down, easy as you please. Triple M, we talked about this formation a lot, this broadening formation here, but more importantly, once again, that monthly, if you look here, is still inside month. Weekly. Now this is outside. It was an outside month and trying to come down. So the question here is: are we trying to form some sort of triangle like that? Because whenever we see an outside bar, we'd be looking for a triangle like that. If you look at the weekly, again, here was that inside week, and it went to the upside and came back in. So the question is: this not stopped out and can regain, or is there a potential reversal? Up, buyers couldn't hold it, come back into the range. So this would be in trouble this week, just below this, 88.08. Keep an eye on that level. The ones who really gave it up was utilities, and with potential capital gains tax hike, making dividends almost, a lot less worth value. You can see how smacked these things got. Utilities just destroyed, even inside and down there on Friday. Let's go to the weekly and pull this out. Yeah, you can see can't get in. Talked about forming this broadening formation here. So maybe something right on the 440 level has been important in the past. So the Dow Jones and the Dow Jones Utilities having their problems. So the transports at this point, as far as Dow theory is concerned, is going to be the glimmer of hope, as the transports still stuck in this range. But the problemo here is you can see these weekly spikes here. Up, nope, up, nope, up, nope, and now coming back in. If you look at the monthly, you can see a lot more shadows to the upside here. Up, 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 up. And it was an inside month again, but these things are tightening up and took it out to the upside, so it hasn't stopped out yet. Now back into the range. So the question is, how is this going to resolve? This is really for all the marbles here. Is this an up sideways measured move to the upside, or for right now, at least some sort of breakdown? We're going to stay on that. If we look at them last week, there was some glimmers of hope, although not in areas everybody likes to be involved in. Airlines, Delta. Delta was inside week and up. It's for the month, still green. However, for the daily, you want to be really aware of this. Broadening formation here, goes up, tries to get out again, shooting star on the day. United Airlines, hanging in there too. It's just, can it really break out of this? We don't know. But still, green for the month. And Alaska Air having the most strength here. So the ones that are breaking down right now would be the rails. So look at Norfolk Southern, went to the lows of the year, and this was really rough. Inside week and trying to extend this, and just pummel city inside week, then inside day, which gives us two actionable signals to the downside, and really fell apart. CSX, the monthly range is trying to get out of that 23. Now it's back toward the bottom of the range, which potentially could be good, but it needs a little help because we're really going to watch that Union Pack we've talked about so many times here. Still an inside month, and that weekly, just a precarious potential topping triangle. I want to keep an eye on that Union Pack for sure. If we take a look at FedEx, FedEx is still held in fairly well, but now back into this broadening formation. So the question is, are these the head fakers up here, and the real formation is all the way back down? Or can it hold into slight lower lows here and go back up? Because when UPS still having a tough time down in here, inside day and down here. And if you look at EXPD and the shippers, spike up here, and here you can see this. New highs, new lows, new highs, new lows, and back towards the apex here. The question is this failing back down? It's also a weekly shooting star here. So the question is EXPD really just channeling like this to break to the downside? We'll keep an eye on that shooting star. If you look at the truckers and stuff, other areas there in the transports, because this is really an important index. We want to keep an eye on this. CHRW, weekly shooting star. If we look at JB Hunt, JB Hunt's still hanging in there, just a weekly shooting star. But the problem here would be, slight topping triangle where it couldn't get to new highs here, and then a shooting star. Keep an eye on that. If we look at Rider Systems, letter R, we got another shooting star there on the weekly. Keep an eye on that. And Conway Freight, CNW here. And this could be a real problem here. You can see this spikes to slight higher high, slight higher high, slight higher high, and then coming down all the way as a shooting star. So the question there is, are we looking at a top part of the triangle that needs to expand to the downside? If it starts to drop, it's also an inside month that failed to the upside, now coming closer to the downside within this greater bear channel on a monthly basis. So certainly want to keep an eye on that. Okay. A lot to get through, huh? Okay, let's get on. Let's keep going. FAS. Talked about this level last week. Real important, right? Break of the inside month. This is a problem. The low 105.26. Below that, this is things really at risk. I couldn't have hopefully not been more clear about that. Here was these resistance levels up in here. Now it comes out down into there. I talked specifically, also XLF inside month. This is a problem. Okay, so as long as these things are below inside months, this group is challenged. I talked about Wells Fargo last week. I said this is a problem here, trying to drop back into this greater broadening formation, and you had inside week to play off, inside week, and then see ya. So there was any glimmer of hope it was going to be Bank of America, believe it or not, and now Bank of America can't get out of this here. So it looked like it had its shot on the daily coming out of there. Now it drops back in. So whenever we see higher high like that, to be alert for broadening formation, and we know that on that weekly resistance. However, it's still inside month and trying to go up, right? But it has to be above 65 cents, otherwise back in the range. And so potentially, with all these things that have attempted the upside, yet the S&P is down, and the FAS is down, and the XLF, these things fail all the way back through, it could be more powerful. And so that's something we really want to be aware of. So if you look at like STT, see this monthly resistance here in STT. Daily shooter coming towards the lows there. If we look at STI, still working on the inside month break here. So I'm running a little long today, but I'm trying to get through as much as I possibly can. So if we look at Visa, still hanging there, green on the month. Question is, how's this triangle going to act out? You're now an inside week for Visa. Inside week on the top of the triangle. Be real careful there. Also, we've got MA as an inside week. DFS is not, and DFS actually hanging in there. Discover trying to hold this triangle up in here. If you look at Aon, this is holding in there well too, trying to hold this topping triangle here. As long as this holds above there, that'll look all right. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'm going to try and zip through here because I got a ton left and we're running long, but that's okay. ERX, there's another problem. Talked about this last week. Low of the inside month is 48. We're below that. Oil's going to be in trouble. Challenge, we can look for trouble below that 48 level this month. So your XLE, below the inside month, and OIH still having all sorts of problems in this stuff here, shooting star, and then confirmed and now continuing to go lower. So if we look at, here's the Chevron monthly. If this is the false breakout and comes back in, the question is where would be, we come back into this, or where would the triangle be? Is it this, this, and then back right here towards the apex, and that's it? If we look at weekly, failed breakout here and back into here, kind of the old formation in here. So anybody's guess on that. If you look at an Exxon, once again goes up here, slight higher high, slight higher high, slight higher high, and then inside weekend down. Look at the monthly. This is the problem that's here, here, and back into this triangle. If we look at Halliburton right now is an inside month and back down. And I'm going to pick the pace up here. I was trying to get to a lot, but let's see what we can get to. All right, we got Devon Energy. This is a good example, too, of how you can look for combined signals. And what I mean by that is I'd like to believe that we have a higher level of probability, not only when we have full time frame continuity, but multiple actionable signals. So here in Devon, you can see Devon is an inside month and breaking lower. So is the ERX. So we know that the sector itself is also breaking down. And then on Friday, if you just look at it, you can see like these inside 15s like that to try and go after. But right now, Devon's still below the inside month. And we're out of Hess, trying to go once again attempt the upside and now to the downside of the inside month. We're seeing a lot of that, and that's the main concern for like the transports and a couple other things that I mentioned. Look at XEC. Look at this. It's a monthly Cimarex energy. Hoop no. Now, the month ain't over, but this thing would look pretty nasty breaking below that stuff. And you see in the daily, it looks okay, but you see this well-defined range where so far, every month it closes down to the lower end of it. Something to keep an eye on there. If we look at Rowan Drilling RDC, inside week for the Rowan Drilling. Also SM Energy, inside week. Keep an eye on those. And the thing about SM, once again, SM here, inside month, attempts the upside, now is back into the range. Potential problem or potential savior if these things can get above. So for my subscribers and stuff like that, things on the list, this will be still inside, although that's why I make the videos, so you know that some of these still inside means they're still inside the range of the month. Some have not broken out at all. Some have failed or are attempting to fail. But that's how those are going to be put down there. Okay, so EOG. Weekly shooting star tries to go in the highs. You can see that broadening formation on the monthly. I just had up there. If you look at Noble, this is going to be real interesting here too. Noble. I put this down as a shooting star week. Overall, it's been pretty tough here. If you take this out here, see this apex here is the problem. Can't get through. Now shooting star, an inside month. It's been slightly above, but back into the range. I'm going to pay real close attention to these kind of things. So we've got Marathon, MRO, well-defined broadening formation. We want to be able to keep an eye on that because stuff like Conoco, we've known about this for a long time. Talked about this many times. Yeah. PXD, still an inside month, has been slightly above. Keep an eye on that. Okay, Diamond Offshore. Diamond Offshore is still having a tough time getting out of here. And was inside weak and down. I'm going to keep zipping along here. And I don't like to jip yet of anything, but let's look for the multiple signals. PBR Petrobras here. Inside day. And breaking below the inside month in a longer term downtrend. So you can keep an eye on PBR there. Okay, moving on. XME. XME is the one that's hanging in there, and we had little guy, I think TIE getting bought out in there. That might support this because that's important because XME has not broken the inside month yet. So the question is this really a bottoming triangle here that can come through there, or is this just the next victim? Because last week we had inside week and down for the XME. So the XME is going to be real important here. Watching the monthly level. Here on the downside, 42.47, and talked about copper. JJC is now below. So steel, SLX, still inside month. Probably going to tell the tales over there on whether things can maintain at all. If we look at FCX, slightly below the inside month already. That's a problem because last week took out the inside week to the downside. With the copper, remember, we talked about TCK. TCK is now an inside week. I'm trying to stay above the inside month. But you can see if this thing fails, it would look like the XME. Copper's already breaking down for the month. But so far, a good sign. It doesn't have to tick up that much to be on the buy list. So, like I said, not total end of the world as it pertains to everything. We're keeping an eye on all of these inside bars, though, because this is going to be real important going forward this month. AA we know is inside month and down. CRS, Carpenter Technology, right now is trading below the inside month. If we look at BHP Billiton, once again an inside month that attempted the upside and now is back in the range. If we look at the weekly, this is potential once again. One of those things I'm ones that are possibly setting up on the weeklies and or monthlies, although there's plenty of month left, inside and then goes up and attempts and comes back in. So if this equilibrium has been attempted on the upside and fails, this will be the reversal strategy back and down. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. For those of you not familiar with the strategy that I'm talking about, you can feel free to go through all the videos I make every weekend, or join me at T3 Live, where I teach this all day long and have an education package that helps people get up to speed on this. Anywho, inside week for the RS, and the old RS has been hanging in there. You can see this, but 58 level has been a challenge. But overall, if things were to move higher in the XME, this has been one of the better performers, as you can see. As well as STLD, Steel Dynamics, still trading above an inside month. If you look at CLF is inside month and has been slightly below, but part of the strategy is making sure you know where those broadening formations are. And right on Friday morning with the market, came rallying back in here, so I really want to see if it can take out these lows, 35, before I'd really want to touch it on the short side. Everybody's favorite coals. Yeah. So with these little guy coals, one of the things I talked about a lot was these formation down here. Is this a broadening formation, or just another more setup for new lows? Same thing with BTU, ANR. So still a lot of work to be done over there. Not too much going on. If we look at oh boy, Molly, the Molly Corp, just worthless rocks we've never heard of getting killed. So there's another one to avoid. But speaking of precious metals, let's take a look at the gold. Look at the gold. Gold has talked about this inside day. That was a nice one here to come back up. But gold is still in a bit of a no man's land. If you look at here's monthly. Trying to hold that old monthly. Inside month was the buy, and now trying to hammer, but there's plenty of month left, so we're trying to see how it acts as far as this range is concerned here. If it drops back in, see if this old triangle acts as support in here, or if we're just looking at another triangle like this for another down move. A little tricky here as far as the gold's concerned. Silver as well. Shooting star, inside bar here. Is this a continuation triangle to the downside, or can it hold in here? Little tricky spots for those guys, and as well as the GDX. The GDX is going to be an inside day to start off the week. And the monthly is back into the range here. So, but GDX is in trouble below the 49.98 because that would be an inside month break to the downside, but now it's back into that range. So a little bit tough there. We've got, even on strength here, in the GDX on Newmont, still going toward the lows. And so Newmont having a problem. That's also an inside month break to the downside. Okay, I'm going to zip along here because we've got a lot of retail coming out this week. Earnings. We've got Ross Stores and Dollar Tree and Home Depot and Staples and all this kind of stuff. So if we look at the XRT, main concern for the XRT here would be this. If it's not strong enough to even make it to the top of this now, and so it's slowing momentum like that, and the question is, where does it come into? Does it come all the way down into here, or a tighter one up in here, holding some sort of channel? But if we look at Target, and Target, for anybody who goes through the archives or has been with me long enough, I talked about this monthly chart, one of the first things, night sessions I had, discussing my strategy in Target last February, about what a reversal strategy looks like with the hammer here coming back into that range and going back up. Now you can see it's completed this triangle here. And so Target on the weekly, the question is, can it get through this stuff up in here? This business here gets above and then can't get back above. So we keep an eye on that. Obviously in Walmart, steep, but couldn't get back into this out of that. And now shooting star to start off the week. Costco is going to be a shooting star. Look at that outside bar. It's getting real suspect here. The Dollar Tree, Ross Stores, and TJ Maxx, these are Ross Stores, really getting her booty kicked. But we talked about that. I said this is why we pay attention to the inside months. All right? Okay, not Ross Stores is inside week, right? Yeah, inside week. Right here. It was Dollar Tree, the inside month, and just doom. And it was even inside week and down last week. Inside month here. During the week we talked about Macy's. Now Macy's here. Possible momentum hammer here into new highs. And I said, but be careful because you'd potentially run into the top of the triangle here. Macy's, bam. Right there. Looked great, didn't it? Right in here. You're like, oh yeah, new highs. And this is why we pay attention to new highs and new lows. Look at Dillard's department store, still hanging around the highs, but we've got an inside, we've got a shooting star, but still for the month, it's still trying to go inside month and up. We just don't want to see a series of these failures, but for right now, hanging pretty tough. Walgreens, I've talked about the weekly formation here, kicking in. Look at last week, bam. Take a look at Lulu. Lulu. Inside week for the Lulu. Still an inside month. So I'm looking to see if we can go break the week, break the month. Maybe we get an inside day first to help trigger them all. If we look at Nike. Nike closes as an inside week. If we look at the auto parts. Orly. Weekly shooting star. The question, are we looking at a triangle in here? Like this? Does it drop? Are these spikes wrong and drop back into the triangle here? This would be at risk here underneath this one right here. About 88.50. I'd be keeping an eye on that because AutoZone is also an inside week. And AAP, inside week. If you look at Staples, the earnings are coming out this week in Staples. The question is this baby over? Inside month. So we'll watch that because the ODP was a nice to the upside in the monthly. It was an inside day, gapped and go. The inside week, now breaking above the inside month. So the ODP, if you look at Guess, talked about this quite a few times. Trying to extendo this triangle, and if you look at the weekly here, coming all the way back down to this. If you look at the Gap stores monthly, extendo this triangle, very nice, but now the outside weak and then drop. So if we go back to the weekly, you can see here potentially perhaps a bit more of a pull. Oops. Here, off of these highs, right off of there. Higher high, lower low, higher high, lower low, lower low, and way higher high, but it comes right off of this stuff. And the monthly, bring back support down into something like that. It's still a nice move if we can pull it in there. Okay, we got to the Apple. I'm trying to pick up this pace here. I've talked about the semiconductors. This monthly here would be a real problem if this broke down into here. It would be an inside month if it closed here. We got plenty of month left, but still some issues going on there. If you look at the weekly here, shooting star back down. And over there with SanDisk, stuff like that, SanDisk. It's going to start off, remember, QQQ is an inside day. SanDisk is inside day. And SanDisk would also be below the inside month at that point if it breaks. Look at Altera. Altera is another one of those weeklies that had a shot Inside week went up, took out the inside week, and then fails all the way back down. So it takes out these two weekly lows. That'd certainly be some problems this week for Altera. You have NXPI. It's an inside week. Also going Netflix inside week, NTAP. I'm going to try and pick up the pace here a little bit. Once people ask me about Priceline. Priceline's an inside week here. Keep an eye on that either side. The problem here with going short Priceline is, once again, is the most important price that we watch is the opening. And that'd be the opening of the month, opening of the week, opening of the day, open every 60 minutes. And so here the problem with people looking for this short of the inside week break, sure, you would have an actionable signal and potentially 3 time frames to the downside. But the problem there is that you're going to have a tough time turning this month red. So I'd pay attention to that. It's a lower probability play, even though it would be an inside week break to the downside. On the upside, however, you'd have 4 time frames going to the upside. So you'd prefer to trade that thing long if you can. Okay, we also have Coinstar. Coinstar's still a monthly hammer and trying to get above. And if you look at this, we're pretty well-defined broadening formation here. I'd keep an eye on this broadening formation as far as Coinstar is concerned, and Coinstar is an inside week as well. If we go to the BMW, you know what? I'm going to skip the clouds here. VMW is a shooting star. FFIV, still potentially here. Once again, you'd prefer to see this go to the upside for right now because it's still green on the month, but you can see this line here that's having a tough time getting out of there. Okay, so to finish off the tech here real quick, Sony, oh boy, inside month and down. Sony, if you don't think things can really get waxed, there goes your Trinitron. And in Taiwan Semiconductor putting on a clinic here, TSM. So look at something like that, still acting pretty well, TSM. Let's get to the home builders. We've got DHI, I believe, and Beazer Homes coming out with earnings on Monday. That's going to be real important too, because this has been the leadership for a long time, and talked about potentially not being able to hang out of this is not being very good. And we've been watching this here. If you look at 15-minute, it came down really tight into this to start off the week. So we'll have some earnings for DHI right out the chute come Monday. And once again, watching the inside month here to see if that's an exhaustion. And so Lennar daily still hanging tough, but went to a slight higher high. Look at this, forms a broadening formation here. Slight higher high, slight lower low. Now back in the range. We'll be watching how that grows. We had Weyerhaeuser breaking the inside week very nicely last week. Here. Now back into that business there. Hovanian was the champ, still hanging tough. But starting to back off, broadening formation style. Slight higher highs, slight lower lows. So we're starting to see those things grow up there, and we'll keep an eye on those. Moving along, XLV. Here's another problem. XLV is the Healthcare Select Spider, and it's below monthly shooting star. If you can see the likes of Alexian getting waxed here, which has been a big leader. But to start off the week, WPI, Watson Pharmaceuticals here. It's going to be an inside week. We've had Cigna is one of the leaders here as far as the HMO stuff, but inside week to see if it can hold this gap or not. Here's your WellPoint. I talked about these weeklies here last week, having some problems. We've got, I'm going to really crank this up here. So biotechs here, BIIB. If you're watching the broadening formation here, I'd watch that to see how that acts. Speaking of that, broadening formation AIG coming into from the financials. I'd keep an eye on this. We've talked about this many times, and there it is. Okay, when we look at the monthlies once again, important is you look at all these indices like XL, I, industrial select spider, still slight higher high, now trying to take out the outside. If you look at the XLB, and that's basic materials, is already starting to come below. And then when we're looking to normal safe havens, this is the problem with the utilities breaking down, that here you can see the consumer staples, XLP, starting to crumble here. And inside week. And we already saw Procter do the Procter & Gamble do the inside week and down. Now we're going to watch Colgate this week, CL. Oops. I'll get to that one in a second. CL, inside week. If we look at the gamers, Wynn Resorts is another well-defined broadening formation here in the daily. I've talked about that quite a few times. LVS, and the one right here that we've had on the monthly sell list is Boyd Gaming, BYD, and inside month and down again. And this is why you can beat these things to a pulp if they're weak. Look at this. Yeah. No sense going after tough guys when you can do that. If we look at the Ags, Moo, inside month and break into the downside. That's a problem. And I talked about potash last week as an inside week after breaking the inside month. It took a while, but on her merry way after that. If we look at BG, I talked about that being one of the pillars of strength, but now it's a weekly shooting star. It goes up and comes down. Here's your CF. CF is going to start off as an inside day. And I talked about AGU last week. Unfortunately, that was earnings that did it, but AGU was an inside week. And puke. Unfortunately, like I said, that was a gapper. Okay, to round this up, since we're getting a little long here, just end of the day, strength and weakness that I'm seeing here is, Carnival Cruise. CCL hanging around the highs. So that hard to argue with that. A chart like that. Still hanging around the highs. You can watch CCL strength. Also, American Tower, AMT. Still a choppy range up in here, but still near the highs. Like some volatility and some movement. Dollar Thrifty, oh yeah, this baby is moving. Look at this, down, inside, peak. So, just for you gunners out there, this could be a little fun. And I know some people like to do that kind of stuff. Look at this. Nice triangle there for the DTG. Sherwin-Williams, SHW. Inside week and just slightly lower in here. The question is, are we really seeing this down sideways break? Certainly something to keep an eye on as the stock can move as well. And Weight Watchers, last but not least, showing some strength here too. So the question here is bottom of the triangle, top of the triangle, where that might be. But certainly like to point that out to you. Potentially, maybe it is breaking into a higher level. Okay, that's going to do it. Once again, very important to keep an eye on where things open on Monday, which direction we start trading from those, in the broader averages, sectors, stocks. We're going to keep an eye on a whole bunch of these inside weeks, but being fully cognizant that it's going to be a hard way to turn the monthlies green and to undo the monthly breaks, the monthly inside and out breaks. However, we have a few opportunities that haven't had that in the XME. We'll keep an eye on that. And I'm gonna wind it up here once again. Thanks to all the veterans and their families here in the United States on Veterans Day. Everybody else, I'm Rob Smith for Smith in the Black at T3 Live.